Hi, I'm Puzzled and I'd like to tell you about the second game in my Puzzled Crafter series, Puzzled Staffcrafter. If you are already familiar with Puzzled Swordsmith, you will find the same gameplay here, with the main difference being that there are now twice as many ingredients to choose from, for a greater challenge. In Puzzled Staffcrafter, you will combine components to craft staffs of varying qualities, depending on component choice, their order in the recipe, and the magic you combine them with. To add components to the recipe, simply press them in order. Once you've added 4 components, the staff will be crafted. You can easily change which staff you are crafting by pressing different ones once you have unlocked them. Both staffs and components are earned by reaching a certain total quality, or TQL, across all your staffs. You see that this staff will require 120 TQL, whereas I only have 118, so I'll need to earn 2 more quality in one of these 3 staffs before I can unlock the 4th one. The total quality of each staff is directly proportional to the B, M and P stats you see in the recipe. So for this top recipe, you see that I have 1 B, 1 M and 2 P. The B stat corresponds to the number of components in the recipe that are the 4 best ones. I say best rather than correct because the other components can still contribute to the staff's quality. So in this recipe we have 1B, which means that one of these components are one of the 4 best possible components for this recipe, whereas the other 3 are not. Let's look at the previous one. So we see that we have the fairy trim in both these recipes, and because in the previous recipe there's 0B, we know that the fairy trim is not one of the best ones, and the same is true for the rune of water. So the question is it the rune of spring or is it the emerald core that is providing that 1B? And we can determine that by doing the same recipe as the previous one. So let's repeat the one where we got 0B. Let's go incantation of daylight, and then let's do rune of lightning, and then let's do the fairy trim. But for the last one, let's put one of these 2 in. Let's put in the rune of spring. So that got 0B, so that means we know that the component which is contributing the B stat is the emerald core. So now if we were to do the same thing, if we go incantation of daylight and then rune of lightning, fairy trim, and finally emerald core, we'll get 1B. So if we ever want to have a recipe with the maximum amount of B, we need to make sure that we have the emerald core included. The M stat corresponds to the number of components in the recipe that have been combined with their required magic for that recipe. A component may require ice magic for crafting one staff, while requiring storm magic for crafting another. So in this last recipe, we see we have 2M, which means that 2 of these 4 components prefer this fire magic. So that's good. It's unlikely we're going to find any magic that is better than that at the moment. Let's just have a go. Let's do the same thing just with ice magic. I'm pretty sure we'll get a lower M for this. Yeah, we got 0M. So fire is probably the best magic we're going to find at the moment, since we have 2M, and it's pretty difficult to get more than 2M at the start of the game. To change the magic you are using, simply press the image of the book. The P stat corresponds to the number of components in the recipe that are in their optimal position in the recipe. Remember, components have optimal positions even if they are not one of the 4 best components for that recipe, thus contributing quality if you get their position correct. So for this recipe we have 0P, which means that we need to mix up these positions in order to improve the quality. So let's change this up. Let's actually just swap the first 2 and the last 2. There we go. Okay, so we got 1P there by changing the order of the recipe. To begin with, you can save up to 10 recipes per staff. As you earn more total quality, you also earn more recipe slots. If you get stuck, collaborate with a friend by showing each other your best recipes. Or if you are more competitive, just show them the cool staff you've managed to craft first. If you enjoy this game, please rate it on Google Play. Thanks.